We are really blessed to have with us today Sushama Tai Sharma, and we also have Shefali with us. Both of them will be speaking. First, we'll start with Sushama Tai presenting. I'll very briefly introduce. We have only short time with both the speakers, so let's make the best of it together. The intention is to get a brief introduction to these vast and very deep topic areas, both Nai Talim and Waldorf system. So just we'll begin with a short invocation, just inviting everyone to join in. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So first, I would like to welcome Sushama Tai to briefly introduce her. She has been working with kids, with children in villages in rural parts of India, and she was also involved with various social development activities when she got inspired to revive the Nai Talim system of education that Mahatma Gandhi and later Vinobaji took on to, and they had started a school in Sevagram back in 1937, which had closed. So back in 2005, a Nai Talim Samiti was formed, and Sushama Tai took the charge as its principal to revive Nai Talim in its modern context. I've had the great fortune of spending a few days there and could see the vibrancy and joy in the team that she's nurtured, the teachers and the children. So without taking more time, I would like to invite Sushama Tai to present. It's so apt that today is 2nd October, Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti, and she has a packed day, but she's very kindly agreed to join us. Thank you, Sushama Tai, for being with us, and please.
Thank you, Vipul. Actually, thank you so much for giving this opportunity to share ideas of Nai Talim and our practices with the group here. I would like to share my presentation, and please give me a minute. I'll just do that, please. Yeah. Vipul, just tell me, did you disable sharing?
Yeah, we'll just enable it, huh, Sushama Tai?
Yeah.
Can you try G now?
Okay. Just a minute. Are you able to see?
Not yet, Sushama Tai.
Okay.
Are you getting the option to share your screen?
Actually, just a minute. Yeah. No, I'm not getting. I'm getting share, but I'm not able to see my presentation here.
You have to scroll down fully the list. It will be at the end if you have made it in presentation mode.
Okay, just hold on.
You'll get a window with all the files that are open. So you'll just have to go till the end and then you might see your presentation.
Okay, yes, got it. Yeah. Yeah. Are you able to see now?
Yes, we can see now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So actually, Talim is the philosophy and practice of Gandhiji. As has been told by Vipul, Gandhiji formally gave this idea of Talim to our nation in 1937. And he said that this is my last and best contribution to this country. Actually, the principles of Talim would not limit to our nation. I feel that these are global principles of education. Let's try to understand what it is. Actually, for Gandhiji, education was for life and through life. So he did not appreciate the kind of education that was going on at that time. It was British education, mainly that was serving colonization. And obviously, Gandhi would not appreciate that. But what did he want? Just to know about it, we also need to understand how Gandhiji was by nature. Let's see that by nature, Gandhiji was religious. He believed in God. But his understanding of God and religion was quite different. He looked in God the truth and love. For him, ethics and morality were very important, and he thought fearlessness is God. He thought that it was a conscience which was pure, and it was extremely important for him. And for him, it was not necessary to believe in any one particular formal religion. He thought that for him, the God would be available for those who do not believe in God. And it was beyond reason, but at the same time, reason was extremely important to him because he felt that it was a gifted thing for human beings. So without reasoning, he would not appreciate to understand even religion and our traditions, even ancient. He believed in Swadeshi and Swaraj. By Swaraj and Swadharm, the words which he very often used, Swadharm, according to him, was the religion which was experienced by every person. So he did not believe in any one particular religion as such, but the understanding of religion for each person would be different to some extent, and a person exists in uh, his or her own context, and for in living in within that context would mean to do some of his duties or her duties and to understand the meaning of self in that context, and that would define swadharma for any one person. For him, God was not a person, but it was a force. It was an essence of life. So we see that he was not in that sense uh, very close minded and limiting himself to any one particular religion. He took ideas, he was open, and he took ideas from so many people, from the West, from the East, from so many people who thought differently. He took so many ideas from Thoreau, Tolstoy, Ruskin, Bible, Jain tradition to which he belonged, also Gita and Upanishad. And from these readings and his thinking processes, he came up with values like ahimsa, satya, satyagraha, sarvodaya, swaraj, and trusteeship. And he explained these ideas in so many details that people could understand them in their day-to-day context. Spirituality to him did not exist without society. A human being can actually manifest oneself in a concrete world, in the society, with people. So obviously for him, spirituality did not mean going to Himalaya or going somewhere out, but he was looking at it only by doing things, by karma, in the society where he lived. For him, the vicinity where he existed, like for him, he was an Indian, and obviously he worked with an Indian context, and that was his Swadharma. So, but the principles were not only for India, for his nation, but these were global. How did he think about traditions and practices? We need to really think on this, because many times spirituality would mean not really, people look at it sometimes, not being located in the society, but something beyond the society, something beyond the material world. He used to think beyond the material world, but at the same time, he was very much situated in the society, and he looked at traditions very critically and practices. According to him, everything ancient was not good because just because it was ancient. He said that he would not surrender the God given gift of reasoning faculty, and he would use this faculty even to the ancient traditions if these were inconsistent with morality. He would just banish them. And similarly, we'll see that untouchability, which existed as an ancient tradition in our country, he refused. He refused. He didn't find any religion, basic religion in that. Similarly, the institution of child widowhood, child marriage, were considered in that sense as a part of ancient tradition, but he refused them. He thought these were the horrible beliefs, and we also had so many superstitions. He was opposing all of them. So in that sense, he was quite uh, critical about traditions as well. So he criticized our own tradition, but at the same time, he was very critical about science and technology. We know after Renaissance what happened in the world. Capitalism, in some ways, grabbed the whole world, and machines played a very important role in it. How to look at machines was something which was very crucial for him. And was there, many people think that Gandhi was opposing machines, but it wasn't true. He wanted to have machines. He wanted to have machines, but not to replace man. He wanted machines to enable them to be more skillful, but not to replace them. And if the machines are going to replace millions of people, then he would not agree with it. And he felt that machines and their use did not come with the philanthropic purpose. Rather, the execution of this technology in the world was mainly driven by saving labor and more of it for greed. How does he look at democracy? Because this all has a very important place in Gandhi's ideas of education. He wanted a deep rooted democracy, and the notion of democracy for him was the weakest should have the same opportunity as the strongest to develop oneself. And if this doesn't happen, he would not call it a true democracy in itself. But at the same time, he felt that in order to bring such kind of democracy in real practice, which isn't there today, which wasn't there even at that time, he thought that it was only through non-violence, it was only through true change in human psyche and human heart that we can reach a true democratic state where everybody will be actually doing their swadharma, and the real swaraj will be demonstrated through it. Sometimes we do see very often that people are quite timid, they get timid, they don't want to actually question authority. But for him, questioning authority, if it abused people, to resist it was one of the very important duties of a person. And this was also part of Swaraj to him. So, for that, he thought that educating masses was extremely important so that they could develop capacity to regulate themselves as well as to control authority. How do we look at the foundations of Naitalim? Naitalim actually believes that every human being has three important needs: to make a creative urge, to love and to be loved, and to know. It's a desire to discover and understand the world, the natural world around the person, and also the social world around the person. Unless these three needs are satisfied in any society, you can, and all the members of the society get an equal opportunity to satisfy these needs, you cannot call that kind of education as truly democratic education. Purpose of Naitalim is enabling child or an individual for life, for providing holistic developmental opportunity. It is to enable him or her to find the purpose of life, one's own swadharma, to enable to be thoughtful and a responsible citizen, because we cannot live alone. We can exist only in the society. And thus, he thought it very important that through education we should be able to build a non-violent, just and sustainable society. Actually, his emphasis was in creating a different mindset, a person who was enlightened, who had clear conscience, and who could not see any differentiation between her interest and the societal interest. Two of them were the same, complementary, and there was no conflict between the two. He said, by education, I mean all round drawing out of the best in child and man, body, mind, and spirit. Literacy, he thought, is not an end of education and not even the beginning. It was just a tool to get educated. And secondly, for him, an existence of a human being is not merely as an intellect or merely a gross animal body, and not just even the spirituality or the heart or soul alone. He thought that a proper and harmonious combination of all these three was extremely important, and it was required to make the whole man, and that would constitute the true economics of education. Anything that is only one-sided or emphasizes only on intellect, he said it would corrupt an individual and that would not result in establishing a good society, a just society. For him,
Sushma
he
Tai,
says, huh?
sorry to
Huh?
intervene. Slides, are we moving forward? I'm not sure if they're frozen.
Are you not able to see? Are you not able to see?
We are seeing the slide, but I'm not sure if it's stuck on the same slide or do we need to move? It's on the third slide right now.
Okay. Are you able to see now? I'm on the 10th slide. Are you able to see?
No, we couldn't. We are still seeing the third slide.
I guess
So-
she is in presentation mode and we are seeing the actual presentation.
Okay.
What do I
Is it possible to
slideshow?
scroll down for you on the window?
Are you able to see now? I'm scrolling.
No, we're just
No?
seeing the third slide.
Sushma Tai, I think you should stop the sharing and share again, and then do
Okay.
the
Sorry. Huh?
slideshow mode. That might work. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Huh? It's taking time and it's unnecessarily. Are you able to see now?
It's coming.
Are you able to see 10th slide?
Not yet. It's saying you have started the screen sharing, but we can't see it yet.
We'll wait for a
Yeah,
moment.
we will wait.
Now?
Not yet.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Now? Are you able to see? Are you able to see on holistic education?
No, it's
No.
just saying that you have started screen sharing, but we can't see it.
It shows me Zoom is sharing a window.
So you need to share a window, which like select the window that you're sharing.
Yeah, I have selected.
Okay. Otherwise, it's okay if you just want to like look at the presentation and speak. That's also fine for now. And we can share the presentation with participants later. Yeah,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
I'm really sorry.
No,
Anyway, yeah. For him, actually, I should have, I wanted to show school slides as well. Okay, unfortunately.
Sushma Tai, can you email that to me? Maybe I can share or somebody else can share for you.
Okay,
If you have
shall I share
already...
it through Google Drive?
Yeah, that's okay. You can.
It will take a lot of time.
I think it's okay for now
Yeah,
because
you
we have about.
just... Yes, right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madhuraji, for trying to help. But maybe because we have 15-20 minutes,
No problem.
let's just make the best of it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we'll share the presentation later.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. So actually, for him, holistic education was very important. And he said that true education of intellect can only come through a proper exercise and training of bodily organs, hand, feet, eyes, ears, nose, etc. According to him, the intelligent use of bodily organs provides the best and the quickest way of developing his intellect. But unless the development of body and mind goes hand in hand with the corresponding awakening of soul, the former alone would prove to be a poor, lopsided affair. He says, by spiritual training, I mean education of heart. So, the three main areas which are extremely important in Talim are learning through nature, learning through productive craft, and learning through society. Productive craft becomes extremely important because child needs to get has an urge to create something, and productive craft not only satisfies one needs but also provides an opportunity to create something, and that gives a sense of satisfaction for any child. At the same time, that also helps in in becoming confident for satisfying one's own needs. We know that actually learning takes place when your all sense organs engage with whatever you do, and when you do a productive craft scientifically, that's the way the child learns using all his or her senses, and that is how a true learning takes place. Productive craft also actually opens the door to understand society, to understand how these needs are satisfied in our society, and what are the lacunae in it, how the relationships are of people, and how to reflect on them, how to bring better understanding of having economics. Similarly, it's important for him to learn through society. Schools, he actually thought, Gandhi actually feels, and even Vinoba, who actually evolved that idea much more later, society and education should be very closely related. Society should come into the school, and school should go into the society. Means education and society should be very closely interwoven. At the same time, nature is something which is extremely important and we learn a lot. So it's a combination of these three areas which is extremely important for Naitalim. So we have been practicing Naitalim or trying to follow some of the steps in this direction through Ananda Niketan. Ananda Niketan, actually the school which was started by Gandhiji in the premises of Sevagram started in 1938, but later on it got closed in 1974, but we started this school again in 2005. How do we look at collective goals of Ananda Niketan? We feel that holistic and balanced development of body, mind, and spirit, it still stands. It's extremely important. And responsible citizenship, now it is based on constitutional values, and developing healthy and warm relationships is equally important. And we have to be more and more sensitive towards environment, and we need to understand the importance of sustainable lifestyles. Directive principles are every person should enjoy a respectful life irrespective of religion, caste, class, gender, and race. Intellectual and manual work both should be considered equally important and should be seen equally. There should be good balance between the two in the school curriculum. All children hold the fundamental right to quality education, and it should be honored as a child should be honored as a holistic being. Methods of teaching should be now in tune with the current research that we have in psychology, how child learns. And this is also very much in tune with Naitalim's ideas of learning, but we need to enrich them. The school started in 2005. It functions as a self-financed school and is registered under state board because we believe also in education through mother tongue. It was extremely important for Gandhi as well. Now we have school from preschool up to SSC, that is matriculation, and it functions as a local school where children from local area are given the first priority. Teachers are also preferred from the local community, and Local language, that is Marathi, is the language of learning. English and Hindi are the other languages. Students are almost 300, boys and girls in equal opportunity, in equal proportion. Children mostly come from lower middle class and lower socioeconomic class. There are few children, even from higher middle class families, who particularly believe in the merits of school pedagogy. It's a cooperative learning. It emphasizes on self-reliance, emphasizes on productive work and joy of creativity, and wants to emphasize on self-motivated and self-driven learning. It functions as a democratic school. All rules are framed by teachers and students together. Even the parents have say in how the design of the school should be. How do we look at self-reliance in today's context? We feel that ability to independently take care of some of our basic necessities of life, like growing vegetables, spinning, stitching clothes, cooking, cleaning, healthy habits, repair and maintenance of some of the things of day-to-day life are extremely important, and that is how a general confidence of self-reliance will grow in child. We understand the importance of cooperation, and it becomes a work, a, a work in which children and teachers collaborate. They work together, they plan together, they help together. We also feel that self-motivated learning is extremely important, and this also includes use of mobile, computers, and internet appropriately. Because this is something which we cannot escape, but at the same time, we need to understand that it's a virtual world, and grounded learning will be mainly in the society where the child is situated, where child lives. So information can come through all these gadgets, but using these gadgets for real life purposes is extremely important, and child needs to understand with reason and differentiate between the two. Children should be able to understand the importance of social norms, and that's why they also frame rules and follow them voluntarily, not because school exerts some kind of authority on them. But at the same time, children should also be analytical and fearless in responding to injustice and abuse of power by people in the society. And also, if it's a school and they come across such kind of any occurrence, they should be able to voice, they should be able to show their dissent, and it should be heard with patience. And we should engage with it. So children also work in the kitchen, and this is the place where gender discrimination, which happens very often in our families, they reflect on it, they develop their skills, they work together from clearing to clearing, and they enjoy work. It's a very, very joyful experience for them because they grow vegetables, they use them in the kitchen, they measure, they learn all kind of scientific things there, and that is how they become quite self-reliant in undertaking their own responsibilities, even to some extent at home. They write on it. They understand the science behind it. They understand the mathematics behind it. Also, they understand how market influences our food habits and how to overcome them. How the money is drawn from the families because of some kind of ideas which are actually becoming very dominant through media. We know what kind of things children buy from the shops, and these are not good for children's health, but they get driven by it, so they need to be analytical about it. Similarly, such kind of integrated learning happens through gardening also. They learn self-discipline, collective spirit, they learn so many gardening skills, health and nutrition, environment. They understand the politics of agriculture. they they understand what is happening with the farmers in our country, the history of farming. They understand how we can save our soil, how we can save our seeds, and how do we look at healthy food, healthy nutritional security at our level. So, drawing food from distant places will be in some ways getting dependent on distant sources. Swaraj would mean being independent, self-reliant in the closed communities in vicinity of certain villages, that basic needs are satisfied and the knowledge is earned to satisfy these needs. They grow vegetables from preschool, from class 1 to class 4 and also till class 10. They learn multiple things. They grow vegetables, they conduct different kinds of experiments. They see how monocots are grown, how dicots are grown, how the root system differs, how soil erosion takes place, how can we reduce it by practicing different kinds of uh, cultivating systems, how multiple crops can be grown together to save soil and also to save from pest and also to save our soil, save our nutrition, uh, and secure nutrition at local level. They write about it, they plan, they a lot of mathematics through it, area, lot of farming, how the country functions, how it affects our farmers, actually getting mathematics related to it. Then there is art of fabric making in which they learn spinning. They learn to spin, they learn to stitch by hand initially and then on machine. And through it, they learn lot of mathematics, lot of history of cotton, lot of understanding about how our one of the important necessities could be taken care of at local level, and how environmentally it can be fair for people like people who are staying in Vidarbha, who are cotton growers, and at the same time they are committing suicide because we really do not process cotton and we give it cotton to the industry, and we are losing control over our seeds and we are becoming slaves to companies. So they learn all these. Learning is fun by doing lot of experimentation. It is very much part of learning process even within the class and outside. Enjoy doing it by actually engaging with leaves, with seeds, and with plants, and with the beautiful surrounding that we have in our school. One of the important work that we do is cleaning. Cleaning is extremely important. There is no other person which helps in cleaning. Everybody, teachers, principals, children, they do this activity in groups, and analytical understanding of caste system is also aligned to it. And they understand why it is so important and crucial for us, what kind of ancient traditions we have created, and this is something which we have done a great harm to our people, and we need to change the world, the society. For that we need to look at this work differently. All school activities are done democratically, as I have said. We have a lot of meetings where children are decision makers, teachers are decision makers. They go out when something wrong happens in the society, like when Dabholkar was actually assassinated. Children and teachers were on streets protesting about it. They were on streets when trees were cut on Sevagram and Sevagram Vardha street, and they wanted these trees to be saved. They learned the importance of trees and they expressed ideas very systematically to people that this is a harm that so many activities, even the uniform by them.
We cannot hear anything.
Sushma Tai, hello. Hello. Sushma Tai, hello. Let me just call and check with her. Yeah. Sushma Tai, hello. Hello. Sushma Tai, hello. I think her headphones, some setting with that. Sushma Tai. We are losing her. Is it just me or nobody is able to hear?
Nobody is able to
Oh,
hear
Even
her.
I
no
can't.
one can hear.
No,
Can
we
you
can't
can you
hear
just tell
her.
her to switch off her video? That would help her in
I'll switch off her video, but I think it's her headphone. And I think she switched off her phone, so I'm not able to get through to her. Just give me a moment. Sushma Tai, hello. Hello. आवाज येत नाहीये तुमचा. Hello.
Can you chat with her, please, Mr. Vipul?
I did, but I'm not sure if she noticed.
Oh.
Let me check.
Okay.
So, sorry about the tech issues. I just spoke with her. What we've agreed is she will come back at the end. Again, she's emailing the presentation as well. We'll go ahead with Shefali's presentation for now. Thank you everyone for your kind understanding and
It's frozen. Namaste, Vipul. Can you confirm if you can hear me?
Ma'am, we can hear you.
patience. Let's just, if we have any questions that we over. So we'll keep aside. So just welcoming Shefali. We all know her by now. She's a participant in a Bodhi program. I have known Shefali since even before Swada started, and she is very dedicatedly, very passionately running Swada in Pune since 2011. And just give me a moment. Yeah, so she is inspired by Dr. Rudolf Steiner's work, and she studied Vedanta in her post-graduation. She's also studied Sanskrit. It was during the quality and depth of Indian heritage director for many years. She kept alive an enthusiastic exploration of alternative living communities and interest in the ancient Indian knowledge system. She then transitioned to education as she wanted to make a difference in education by having schools as nourishing spaces for children and also being culturally rooted with curriculum also reflecting these aspects. So that's to Shefali Tai, and we'll bring her back.
Yes. Thank you, Vipul. And my humble thanks to Dharma Gurukulam and the team who has put together this course. I'm really enriched by all the sessions of this course. And today, when I am bringing you an understanding in Waldorf method of education, I'm also trying to bring an Indic perspective because that is very important. So what I'll do today is I'll dive straight into this and move a little quickly so that we can also look at what is the way forward as I wish to address and speak to all of you regarding the same. Just a minute. So when we were talking about education methodology, I'm bringing these details from Dr. Rudolf Steiner's work, wherein he's saying that when we are wanting to establish an education methodology, there needs to be a sound understanding of human life. We need to penetrate into it deeply. And only after we have understood it truthfully, based on that, we need to work out an education method. Dr. Rudolf Steiner was from Austria. He was a clairvoyant, and that's how he is known as. And the title he earned was the Rishi of the West. So he said that today we are trying to meet the demands of reforms in education, which is inadequate. And for a knowledge which is more complete, we need to go deeper into the understanding of the human being. So we would look at what was the premise of Dr. Rudolf Steiner, and I would keep drawing parallels between our ancient system and the world of education. So the very first premise that Dr. Rudolf Steiner came with, that life is a continuum. It was there before birth. It is there in this present life. and there is life after birth. So there are cycles of birth and death, each influencing the other. And when a soul chooses to take birth, it chooses very consciously the task for which it is taking birth. And based on the task, the other choices are made of place, of land, of language, family, culture, religion. It is everything, the whole paraphernalia, which will help the soul to gravitate and fulfill its task and gravitate towards the chosen destiny, is designed and chosen by it. It's as simple as when we want to eat a certain kind of food, we choose a restaurant in which we go and then choose the menu. So this is the premise on which he is working. And so our education needs to see that we are nourishing the soul. And now the next premise that is there is we understand what does it mean to take birth. So in the previous course with Bodhi, we understood the koshas, that when we take birth, the most gross thing is the physical body. And then we come to more subtle, which is the pranamaya kosha. Yes, the pran, the life force, which is making me alive. Yes, the moment the pran is gone, the physical body is dead. Then we have another faculty, the manomaya kosha, where we have so many feelings and desires. Then we have the Vijnanamaya Kosha. I have an intellect which, out of my feelings and desires, chooses which is most appropriate. And then the gift of India is also talking about Anandmaya, that we transcend all of this and go to an entirely different level. So also, Dr. Rudolf Steiner's work, he said that when we are talking about education of a child, we need to know that there are many births. It's not the physical birth, but when we understand the human body, there are levels of human body. So physical body as the Annamaya Kosha. Then he has the name called the Etheric Body, which is the life force, the Pranamaya Kosha. Then he talks about the astral body, which is the Manomaya Kosha, the body of feelings and desires. And then he talks about ego, the intellect, the viveka that we have. And that's it. So this is so beautiful to see that here in this land, we have yet another dimension which we have to transition and work towards, the Anandamaya Kosha. To train, and our ancient system is already providing methods that how do we go to Anandamaya Kosha. Dr. Rudolf Steiner worked with these four bodies, that now that we have the knowledge, so we'll go and look into a deeper understanding of these bodies. So when we look at physical body and we look at the world, we understand that it is common across everybody, the matter, the mineral world or the matter, the plant, the animals, humans, all of them share a physical, a gross body. Then we come to the next, the etheric body. Now, etheric denotes growth. It denotes life force because life force brings growth. That is there. We share it with plant, animals, and humans. All three of us have an etheric body. Astral, the Manomaya Kosha. Now, Manomaya Kosha is what we share with animals and humans. The animals also have desire. They have a desire. The pets, especially those who have, they want to be petted. They express. They have anger. They are defensive. And so also we have maybe a much more enriched life of feelings and desires. We have a very enriched life. And what is unique to human life, which is shared only by human, is this inner I. When I'm using the word over here as ego, is this I, the individuality, my own intellect. This is a soul faculty which is belonging to human race, which puts us in service of the whole planet and most responsible too. Now we look at, so this is how it goes. We have the physical body. So from birth to 7 years, so there are clear 3 stages that Dr. Rudolf Steiner says that when we want to work with education, we really need to understand these bodies. What are they? What are their properties? When are they available for us to work on externally and intervene with? And what do we do when we have to work on them? So physical body, you see what is in the womb, nature is working on it. Natural system which is supporting. The eyes are developing, but external light or anything which is influencing the physical body inside the womb. But the moment it is born, the gross body, and we hold the child in the hand, then I can externally nourish it by the food, by giving it the right circumstances. So, which is, and this physical body nourishment is most important till 7 years. The etheric body is born at the age of 7, and I'll come back and I'll explain what do we mean when I say 7 years of age. So etheric body is born. Born means it is available. Till then, it is in a womb and it is available for us to externally intervene with, work with. Just like it's a law of nature, when the child is in the womb, we don't externally intervene and try and make differences. Honor nature and trust it. Of course, modern science has developed, and when there are difficulties, we intervene, but naturally, that is a gift. So, also, for all these bodies, we have to honor when they are in the womb, and only when they are delivered, we work on it. And this is the understanding that education and educator needs to have. Then, astral body is 14 to 21 years. So, at 14, it is born and it is available for us to work on. And at 21 years, a fully matured intellect appears. Completely, a full matured adult human being is there who has the viveka and a hold on viveka that comes, and the culmination of it happens at 21 years of age. So now I will look into each of the bodies. That you see, the physical body was protected by the mother's womb, but after that it is born and it is available, and that is what we have to look at. And we need to know that etheric is unborn. And what is important in physical body is that is the task. So when I'm looking at birth to 7 years, this means all the ages of kindergarten, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What is the task of parents, of educators? Is to nourish this physical body and ensure that the body grows strong and healthy. When a child is born, it is still very tender, that it is developing still. So you see the last line in this slide it says that if true forms developed, true forms will grow. If misshapen forms developed, misshapen forms will grow. So my heart, my kidneys, my lungs, and so many of organs are still developing in ages of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the foundation of the body, and the building is being laid now. Whatever happens after 7 is then growth. But what needs to grow is being established now. And that is what we have to take note of. We go and look into the next aspect of the etheric. Now, what happens around 6 and 7? There's a universal change that happens across all children. It brings the fall of milk teeth and the coming of the second set of teeth. So etheric is making the body, building the whole etheric, which is the prana, the life energy and the life force is busy working inwards. It is not working outwards, it's working inside the body. It is very busy. So we need to not touch the etheric forces at all during this age. So it is molding all the organs. It is the formative force. So our task is to nourish this etheric body. And etheric body, along with the life force, this faculty that we have of a memory, a kind of temperament, character, and conscience, all of this are a part of the etheric body. Just a minute. Yeah. I suddenly got a blackout on my screen. Yes. So this is very important to understand what is etheric, so that when I'm working with child in the ages 7 to 14, I know what are the faculties that I need to work on. One thing very important that Dr. Rudolf Steiner says, and all the ancient seers say, that if I will read in his words rather, those who develop the higher organs of perception, for them, the etheric or the life body or the life energy is not it is an object of perception and not merely of intellectual deduction. So this is something that he says, that it is not that we are intellectually deducing, it is tangible. If somebody has that clairvoyance or has that organ, they have developed the faculty to see more, is an object of perception. It can be seen how it is. The next is the astral body. Now, astral body becomes free and born at the age of 14, and we know what happens. You see, your child that you have raised is a very different person when they reach this age of 14. You feel that there's a young adult in your homes. So a whole different person comes into play because a whole new body is born. This is the body of pain, pleasure, impulse, craving, feelings. And when I was, this etheric body has the same shape as the human form, that is the life body. Those who can see it, it is an extension around my body, having the same shape. But astral body is colorful, it is moving, and it is in an ovoid form. So this is knowing a little more about the astral body. We move on now to see, yes, what happens when we have I. This is the carrier of the higher soul, the refined soul in us. This is the vehicle through which all my refined wishes, refined is a very important word because that is the purpose of birth. The purpose of birth is to become more refined, to become more profound, to evolve. And I is the vehicle through all of this that happens. An I which is not refined will just follow passions and impulses without viveka. And so the journey of I is to go on refining this viveka as the person lives on. And that is the journey from 21 onwards, to make it finer and finer, more and more refined. What do we do with this knowledge now that we know? We have looked at the kosha, and the same thing Steiner is talking about, that there are 4 births of human life. Really, after the physical body is born, there are 3 more births. And through education, we need to work. An educator needs to understand all these 4 bodies and also understand that each of them has a time of its own, and only then we work. Like, we don't penetrate inside the womb and try to give nourishment to the body inside the womb. We do it only after it is outside. So also, when these bodies in the womb, there are some things we do and some things we don't do, and that is important for the right foundation of education. So let us look at, what does it mean when we say that I need to nourish the physical body? When the physical body is born, and actually the first important thing is the environment, the physical environment that we need to provide. So first is the environment that we can perceive by the senses. It needs to be pleasant. There needs to be right condition of light and food. So when children are growing from birth to 7, we have to give them a healthy instinct for food. So the kind of food that we give and when do we give, all this is very important. And what nourishes the physical body is a healthy rhythm, which is in congruence with nature. You see, the sun rises and the sun sets, and we have been hearing talks of ancient knowledge systems, that how our life needs to be connected with that. So very strong rhythms of waking up, sleeping, meal timings nourishes the physical body. Instructions and any kind of moral talk does not speak to the physical body. Understanding meaning of something, telling something, and a person understanding, that is the quality of etheric. And etheric is not born. So no such things where we are explaining children, teaching them, instructing them needs to come at this age. If I'm bringing it, I am taking away the life forces which are working inwards and making them work outwards, because then I need to learn, I need to understand. And it was advised that it needs to be an organic development. We just give them a good environment, good rhythms, and their tool for learning at this point is imitation. So the adults around them have to see what is their presence like. They bring a healthy role model of imitation. I'm filled with calmness, joy, and cheer, and they will imbibe it and imitate it. When I work and I act, and maybe I paint, I draw, I play, I do it with undivided attention for them to imitate what does it mean to be focused. And hence it was advised that there's no reading, no writing, no teaching by instruction, because teaching by instruction means teaching the etheric. It is etheric which understands meaning. The pranamaya kosha needs to be, the life body needs to be born. It is still in the womb and it is working on the physical body. And to ensure that the body is engaged, I'm learning through my body. So the kind of toys, so there's a lot of detail then based on this, that the kind of toys that we give are something which is not making their intellect to wake up, but their hands, understanding by movement, the toys which can move, and the physical environment. For example, can you go back to the previous slide? The physical environment, we bring a lot of beauty, a good sense of light around children, the kind of toys that we need to bring, and a very healthy rhythm for children. No instructions, children play, and they through us through various, and we bring songs and stories not for the meaning of it but for the joy of it. That is important for this age. Can we move on further? Yeah, so these are just heaven fallen toys, wood, pebbles, shells, toys, and instead of ready-made dolls, a doll. So imagination is very, very important, that everything which the brain muscles have to be formed. So the less processed and ready-made things that are given, just a cloth, you see over here, it's folded and it looks like a head and two arms, which will make me fill up everything. Logs of wood, I'll make one thing will become house, one thing will become become a bullock cart, and I will place it and I play. So I'm filling in the toys and superimposing, and it makes my brain muscles superimpose. It is making it move. So children cook. It is advised that they are cooking, they are playing in the garden, they are working with their hands for a healthy development. And as adults, we are bringing a cheerful presence and a good physical environment for them. So lots of nature. And this is something which Steiner says, that those who have an eye, who can really look at these bodies, if they can see how if people could look into the brain as a spiritual investigator and see how it is building forms, they would for sure give their children only toys that are fitted to stimulate and vivify its formation. So all village toys, tire ke saath khelte hain, everything which involves movement, which makes me think. And it is best that they are as simple as possible. Just plain mud is also enough and very enriching. So less is more and simple is beautiful over here, the children of this age. Then we move on to understanding the etheric body. So if we have to look from the Indic perspective, we are talking about karma. For young children in this age, they are just doing with their bodies and understanding. Karma yoga ke baad aata hai bhakti. And this, I think, is a gift of India, which talks so highly about devotion. And this is what it's there. It's devotion, and there of devotion that we have in our customs, in our traditions, and we have to see how we integrate that with the learning methodologies. Because I will now speak about the nourishing the etheric. Now, at the age of 7 and till the age of 14, children now step into school. They begin to read and write and learn about subjects. So, what is the understanding until the age of 7? That the physical body is born and it is a divine soul that is born, gods and goddesses, and we have to just love them, take care of them, give them a lot of love and warmth, right rhythms of waking up, eating healthy food, sleeping, and a natural to be in, and honor them just as they are and enjoy them growing. With the coming of the second T, from 7 to 14, what is it that strengthens the etheric? So, etheric is the body of learning. So, teaching, instructional teaching begins now. So whatever we teach them the ways of the world, vyavaharik gyan. Because what is it when we learn a language, we learn maths? We are learning about the world and its ways. A child under 7 is divine. He is in wonder with stars. So beauty of stars, the beauty of plant, the flower, just singing its poem. No meanings are important. Meanings speak to etheric. So something which is very important that we have to look at etheric. Earlier, the tool of learning was imitation. They watch and learn and no instruction. Now we have moved to instruction. And what is my way of instruction? And what do I work on? So, etheric body contains habits, it contains conscience, character, memory, temperament. So, as an educator, I need to know that these are the faculties that I need to work with. And what are the forces? What is the mood which really strengthens etheric? That is reverence, veneration, bhakti जो कहते हैं, devotion, bhakti, and spiritual connection with the divine. The etheric forces very strongly. Life body and life energy को वहां से नरिशमेंट मिलता है. फिजिकल बॉडी को फूड से और etheric से nourishment. How do I nourish the etheric through all of this? Now, what do I do? So I also need to understand that when I'm working with the etheric body, I need to understand what is the language of etheric. Yeah, the language of etheric is pictures. So when somebody tells us a story, we still thinking, for example, there was a little girl who wore a red dress and a red hood, and she went into the forest. So some images appear in front of us, the red dress, the red hood, and she went into the forest. So these are the images. This image building and picture building learning tool of the etheric. So abstract concepts like photosynthesis, it's very difficult, condensation, evaporation. There's not an image behind this. So abstract concepts and those kind of instructions do not speak to the etheric. It takes up a lot of their life force when they have to struggle through this. So when we teach children, it is very important that every subject that is taught to them is taught through stories and parables. Yes? And while we are teaching, and what is the relationship between the teacher and children? And this, I think, is the most important thing to know. The magic word for younger age of 7 was imitation. And the magic word now, or the important core mood of this age, 7 to 14, is authority and discipleship. It is so important to understand this because it completely defines our Gurukul system. Our Gurukul system was not when children woke up in the morning and the gurus asked, do you feel like waking up? Do you feel like doing the seva? What would you want to do? Do you want to collect wood or do you want to heat the water? I do not think so. It was like that. It was clearly, it's time to wake up and we wake up. It's time to work, we work. You do this and you do that. What does this mean? Clear instructions. What was the connection of the authority? Love. It was firm, gentle. It was authoritative. There was love. There was gentle. And the person lived a life where the children were taken to that authority naturally. They were like the Pied Pipers. So that is so important for good learning to happen. The second aspect is discipleship. We have to keep children in the mood of discipleship. And discipleship एक पात्रता चाहिए सीखने के लिए. वो पात्रता भी बच्चों में हमें कल्टीवेट करनी है. So which is very important. So parables, stories, and in every subject that we teach, because till the age of 14 biology comes, chemistry comes, physics comes, in younger ages environment comes, so many things. Most important thing that needs to come is a spiritual and divine connection behind every subject. So I don't look at plant as just a matter, but I also look at it through poetry. I look at it as the wonder. I look at the force which makes it grow. In the seed, I look at the whole tree that is hidden. And this religiosity of, or this sacredness, this is what nourishes the etheric. So this is what when I say bhakti, हर चीज के प्रति भक्ति, तो हर चीज को एक मैटर में सीमित नहीं करना है. It has to go beyond matter to deeper layers. Like we heard in Mandakini ji's talk, that there is a yogic understanding, there's a symbolic understanding. There is just from there, the basic. So there has to be layers. Things have to be fraught with deeper meanings, and deeper meanings needs to have divine. When we are talking about divine, is that there is a higher power behind everything, behind the movement of the stars. The sun is just not a ball of fire. There's so much more to it, to bring it like a real person and its force. Another important faculty which is being missed on with the birth of etheric is memory. Just in the last talk, we heard that memory needs to be worked on. Chanting, recitation. In ancient gurukulams, पहले सारे स्तोत्र सूत्र याद कर लेते थे. रोज बैठ के अभ्यास करके they would just chant it over and over again. And after the age of one sutra at a time and going deeper into it, whatever subject it was related to. So learning things by heart, and also learning beautiful poems, long poems by heart, stotrams. So we have this culture, oral tradition, very Yes, thank you. So it is very important that oral tradition that we had its power, because it builds a lot of muscle, and memory is the faculty. Between 7 to 14, we have to strengthen the faculty of memory and memorization. If it is, it is difficult to cultivate that strength. The time is gone. So this is an important thing. Then we are talking about conscience, character, temperament. So moral maxims of how you should be, ye sach bolna chahiye, these things do not work, because these are just, we have to give them indirect stories. So you see the whole Panchatantra, how it was stories, through stories of animals, of people, you understand what it is to speak the truth. So not to just give them, because these are abstract concepts, these are just facts. So through parables, work on the conscience and the character. Another important aspect to cultivate the etheric is beauty and aesthetics. Children should be surrounded with beautiful things, and when they work also, we have a lot of work. So you see how our notebooks, copies, black and white, this black lead pencils, have color pencils, bring in drawings. I could not put together the work of children, but if you just go online and look at Waldorf textbooks, it is a very beautiful example. How do you integrate beauty in our daily teaching? Like, for example, you're learning a skull, we feel it and we mold a whole skull. And when we hold it, or the teacher, when she holds the real bone skull, and the children have sculpted their own mud skull, they see what is the difference because they have to feel it, they have molded. And when we hold the real skull, it is also important to go into the depth that this skull was really a human being. It was one person to whom it. And let's, for a moment, pause and thank who's bringing, this belongs to someone. So, in every lesson, to bring this sacredness. So, this is beauty and aesthetics are very important in everything that we do, and in sacredness in every lesson. Then we bring deeper meanings and role models. 7 to 14, children need to have role models. One is the teachers and the teaching faculty. They need to see how they are striving, who have immediate influence. And beyond that, this is the time when we tell them stories of saints and of great men and women who stood up for deeper causes of life and lived a life which had profundity and depth. So, through direct examples and through indirect examples, they bring deeper meanings. And a lot of movement of body, a huge mind body discipline. So in Waldorf, they had eurythmy, Bothmer gymnastics. But in our country, we have a lot. We have so many schools of yoga, a lot to offer. And what is important when we are talking about movement, he says that it is just not movement by understanding physiology and anatomy and bringing good body coordination. It is understanding what kind of movement will bring in a sense of ease and happiness in my feeling. So I have to really nourish their feeling through beauty, through deeper meanings, through role models, through parables, through stories, through artistic engagement, and nourish. And in sabko, to carry it in a cradle of bhakti and devotion. Age hai, because 14, when the astral is born, children are different and it is difficult. So you see now a lot of the schools are completely there in hands-on learning, hands-on, so which is very beautiful because then you're doing things. But it is sense perception alone. Matter and spiritual, they are half-half in everything. So that other half also needs to come. So, sense perception alone needs to be accompanied by depth and sacredness in every subject. How Ayurveda treats body like a temple. So, we need to bring that when we are teaching biology. Then we go to astral, which is the next body. Vipul, how long can I have?
We have till 7:15.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So it would be nice to also have some time for question answers. Yeah.
So, astral body, when it is born at 14, is all about feelings. So, when we are talking about authority and discipleship in 7 to 14, we are not stimulating the feeling life of the child. What do you feel like? What do you want? हम बहुत उनके मन को उजागर नहीं करते हैं. हम उन्हें as authority tell them, तुम्हें ये करना है. You must do this. Let's do this. The skill is how do we tell them such that they are with us. With astral comes the faculty of judgment. This is when sciences come. Before this, sciences come in a different way. They come, but in a different way. But pure sciences, as true sciences, they come because the faculty of judgment is not now born with the coming of astral. Puberty is an indication of that. Independent thought, all of this comes. And how do we now nourish children after 14? Nourishing the astral means they're seeing many views and many perspectives. So it is very important that between 7 to 14, we don't bring we don't want children to have opinions. It's best that they are open and they don't have opinions. We start bringing views, perspective, opinions to them now when their faculty of judgment has come. So and singing is a lot of social bonding. So a lot of singing, a lot of art and theater for children for their soul life. Wo manomay kosha hai. So for their feelings, for their passions to express entirely. What feelings can, that it can take you one moment you're like this, the other moment and you're like that. So feelings need to be anchored. So a strong body mind discipline, there they have a whole different system of Urudhmi and Bhatmar. Here we have yoga, pranayam, kriyas, a must for children after 14. It needs to start by 7, but now it needs to be done by also they understanding what is it for, and knowledge of the real world. While children are studying about chemistry, geography, all of this from the books, but a lot of field work. They go to industry, factories, workshops, forests, fields to see how in real work, real life, all this is happening. So then they are interacting a lot with the real world now. So this is how the astral is nourished. And if all of this is done well, then a healthy eye matures at the age of 21, ready to refine its own viveka. I would like to go forward a little bit on this, and I will just take another 3-4 more minutes. That for teachers' presence is considered extremely important, and that it cannot be substituted by videos or teaching modules or online modules. This can be done as an accompaniment, but a live teacher is very, very important. So computers and media are secondary, but most primary is that living energy. And in a Waldorf school, they developed this whole custom that each teacher needs to have a whole meditation system, and disciplines were given for teachers to work on themselves individually, group meditations by teachers, and a core group of the school which is invested in the school, some special meditations and worked with them. And it is very important that the soul life of teacher is opening, the astral of the teacher is very strong. So artistic engagement, painting, singing, movement must for teachers. This is one of the important values of the system which was followed. Working with hands. So it's just not teachers, even administration, those who handle office, all of them sing, work with their hands, work in the garden. And children, while we teach them, there were meditations on children that we also meditate on them, and there is a certain method that was brought. So all this intention setting for children and really consciously bringing and meditating on them was also one of the important, is also one of the important tools of teaching. Going forward, I wish to share something very, very important that over the last 100 years, so first Waldorf school started in 1919, and it was a quiet movement. So with these impulses and indications by Dr. Rudolf Steiner, each of their books of sciences, social sciences, have many layers to it. They're just not looking at the matter and hands-on and experiment, but there's devotion, there are ancient traditions, the ancient folklores, all of them is included in the book. So a whole set of books and literature have come over a period of time, and individuals, they came together and they closely worked and found an identity for themselves with the country or with the state government, and established Waldorf that it is recognized. And because it was different, its space of curriculum was different from the conventional schools. They reinvented many old festivals because festivals were considered as an opportunity to step into something deeper. So it is beyond Christmas, many other festivals came in Waldorf education. So a parallel system along with the conventional developed. So the teaching at every age was very carefully planned. And can you go to the next? So what is very important to now know is that if we are taking this as an inspiration in India, it is to understand that Waldorf happened in Europe. So it was entirely Eurocentric. Their books, their curriculum, their traditions, their customs. And we need to, as we say, the basic purpose and the premises that the soul chooses a land, a culture, a language, a family, and that is the nourishment. So the whole curriculum over here needs to be rooted in the culture and land and language, literature, impulses, traditions, myths, mythology, everything from here, of this place. We see that we have Cambridge, which has come, a foreign board, and once again, I wonder as an educator, UK is deciding what education should be. Here, the education is that there is a spiritual basis, and from that spiritual basis, we have to unfold. So I feel India has much to offer, and going forward, it is so important that from all the work that even Bodhi, I find their work so precious that we go back and see how we can gather forces and put together our ancient knowledge systems and look at where children are and appropriately design curriculum, methodologies, and textbooks, because it needs to be translated into a delivery mode. And that is the strength of Waldorf, that a daily implementation step and methodology has fallen in place. And we need to bring that and translate and create and work towards to have a parallel system and get it identified by our government and have it recognized, such that we have and systems which are based on deeper spiritual development and just not intellectual development of human life. So this is what I wanted to share, and also it is my plea and my dream that we can come together to create a curriculum like this, because this is a living model and I see such strength in it. It continued and it has found a place in many of the nations with the government, and we can work over here as well. So thank you so much. This is what I wanted to bring today to all of you. There is much more, but I can share a PDF of a book, which could be a good beginning for all of you.
Thank you so much, Shefali and Sushama Tai, who is also joined. Yeah, your presence, the way you presented itself really brought out the essence of Waldorf education. We have quite a few questions that have come in, but we have only 5 minutes. Shefali luckily happens to be part of the Bodhi program, so hopefully you can also respond to some of these even later on the group at your own pace. Just wondering if there might be any question for Sushma ji before we take in the questions that have come for. Meanwhile, Shefali can maybe read through some of them and pick one or two. We have a hard stop at 7:15. Sushma ji has some internet issues, so she's kindly agreed to also share her email, and people can reach out to her even afterwards. And we'll share both the presentations. So Shefali, would you like to take the question Meenal has asked about when we say we don't want them to have opinions, how do we work with them on choices, preferences, and their share of perception and perspective? These could be long answers, but maybe just very briefly. You're on mute, Shefali.
So what is very important over here, I think the understanding that we get from Dr. Rudolf Steiner's work is appropriateness of age. Opinions we bring after the age of 14 and slowly by and by. And till the age of 7 to 14, we just work along with them. Come on, let us eat. Come on, let us study maths. Come on, do you want to study maths? Because देखो feelings जो हैं वो तो human life को कहाँ से कहाँ ले जाती है. We are constantly, and the whole spiritual sadhana is how do I master all of this? So it is very important that we don't stir it up from a very young age and wait for the life force to mature. And that is how I'm nourishing the etheric, by giving them low of great men and women, and they receive a lot of material already, and after this they are involved in the faculty of judgment, that they've heard a lot of stories, but after 14 is where we start looking at different perspectives about people, about a philosophy, but by and by, because you see, it is still very tender at the age of 14. So we begin, and by 16, 17, 18, yes, we make it. So we bring in different views and perspectives, out of which they are able to find their own or their affinity. So between 7 to 14, it is very important that we don't, because then that is becoming rigid. And you see, Indian spirituality is about going beyond your preferences. And Nirakara, it's about formless, beyond all of these opinions. So जितना जल्दी हम opinions establish करते हैं कम उम्र में, 3-4 साल बरस से, उतना rigid personality होता है. मुझको इसको ऐसे ही चलता है, इसको ऐसे ही चाहिए, this only works with this person. So that is not helping me to become more evolved and refined, or giving me a foundation for that in later life.
Thank you, Shefali. I'm taking in another question by Savita ji. She's asking, are there any approaches suggested by Dr. Steiner on how an educator can observe child's learning process?
Yes, there are a lot of processes, and there's detailed work on it through their drawings, and a lot of it. I'll see if I'm able to share some material, but there are many processes. Their movements, observing their drawing, observing their physical, starting with the gross. So every day there is a handshake, and observing their nails, the temperature of the body, observing them in the games class, handwork, looking at their stitches, their choices of colors, painting, so many guidelines and observations, and then working with the child. But something that I would like to share, which was a great gift to me as a teacher from this system, and it was there with us. I just rediscovered much more depth in our work through this. As teachers, we work very hard with our children. And one strength that came was meditate on your children every night. We are working hard because I want him to understand maths. I want him to become more confident. Whatever I want, I write that down. Meditate on my class or on that one child every night. Have affirmations and do it for some days continuously. At the same time, work on all the methodologies during the day. So it's a combination of taking help from higher energies, and I also doing my karma with trust and dedication. So this is so powerful. We must remain connected, because the more we connected to this higher divine energies, the more we are able to help our children well.
We'll just take one or two more questions and we have to close, sorry. Neena ji has raised her hand. Would you please quickly ask one? Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Shefali, fabulous presentation. I'm trying to find out, I think I didn't get where most of the philosophy that Randolph Steiner brings into this teaching methodology. What are the sources of particularly the 0 to 7, 7 to 14 kind of breakdown? I'm very interested in digging deeper into that. And so I'm curious if you could help us with that either now or later. What are his sources of that division?
So sources is of course the physiology of the body and also his clairvoyant vision, where he could see that the etheric is born. It is not in the envelope. The envelope has opened, because he said that it is an object of perception. And the child is now available. Till then, he would not teach the child to read and write. But after he's gone, okay, let's sit down and let's understand. So, vyavaharik gyan mein, tab tak, to in the beauty and wonder of this world, and we see all children lose their teeth, and there's a natural age for this, even for puberty. Now puberty is prematuring because we are prematuring mind very early. बहुत जल्दी हम बच्चों को सिखा रहे हैं. If we understand yoga, mind mature होगा. Along with the mind, the body will also mature faster, and that is disturbing the physiology of the body. And he said then, 100 years back, if we continue to educate so intellectually as we had started, we will see that all the diseases of old age will start coming in 30s, which we are seeing: blood pressure, heart, diabetes, heart attacks. They have all started to come in 40s. And he says, this is education towards health. We need to educate appropriately to have sound physical health, because this body is the tool through which the soul can evolve. If the body is not in place, then the soul's evolution is then hindered.
Thank you so much, Shefali. I was trying to pack in a lot in a short time, but very insightful. And we are so fortunate you're part of this Bodhi journey with us. And like she's very urged all of us to come together, build this curriculum. It could be one of the project ideas. You can team up and perhaps collaborate on this, start off as a Bodhi project, but it can really lead to something powerful. So would really encourage participants to think about that. I would also like to thank Sushma ji, whose internet couldn't support her in the last pitch, but both of them have very kindly agreed to be reached again, and will upload all the resources on Google Classroom. So just thanking, we'll pause with a moment in silence, and I'll chant Loka Samasta 3 times. Yeah. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste, everyone.
Thank you.
And tomorrow we have a speaker from J. Krishnamurti School, as well as from the Sri Aurobindo